Welcome back to another episode of the Bros and Brats podcast. I am Alex, aka Sizzler. We figured it out this time.
Yes.
We got Chris, aka,
Chris P. Bacon.
and lastly, but definitely not least,
That's right. Sweet heat.
Sweetie.
Sweet heat, baby.
So this time on this episode, we've got a new flavor of brats. What we got today?
We have, for our tasting pleasure, the Johnsonville jalapeno cheddar smoked sausage. So this one is a pork sausage, not a chicken sausage. A little different here.
Yeah.
It does still have the cheese like our last episode, so
Okay.
we'll have to see how that contrasts.
Because the last one had, mozzarella, right?
Mozzarella. Now we're down to cheddar.
Okay.
And we've got some jalapenos. So Mr. Resident Sweet Heat guy over here is going to have to let us know how this
Right.
goes.
You had me at jalapeno,
Yeah.
and then you sealed the deal at pork.
That's fair.
And then you mentioned cheese as if it's kind of like, I get it, but trifecta. That's the word that
Trifecta.
comes to mind.
I haven't heard that
Trifecta.
word in a long time.
Yeah.
I like that word, trifecta.
Yeah,
And the
it's-
grill is sizzling. I heard little.
Right?
Yeah, we're getting a little more heat this time. Too.
Yeah.
I figured out the temperature control.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that a lot. That's pretty cool. And so today we're just talking about the joy of the Lord and being present. So the last time we were here, we were talking about responsibility, boundaries, obligation, and letting people know that hey, you're valued when we're with them, our families as well, protect our families through those things. So now we're talking about being present and the joy of the Lord, which two really big topics, but like especially as men and then of course fathers, like. What does that mean, and how do you, like, for instance, how do we maintain a culture of being present with our families? What does it look like for us?
Yeah.
Each of you guys individually as well too.
So I'll start with this is it's got to start with being present in your relationship with the Lord. It's like anything. You can't make it sound like it's the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the truth is, culture, everything is against you having a relationship with the Lord. Like everything is. So it's to me, I'm working to be present with Him.
Yeah.
So lately, what's been transpiring in my life is just because of the amount of busyness and things going on, I've been working to get the Word in my heart more and focus more on what I am hearing or reading. Like it's been more of a challenge lately, but I've kind of done this long enough to know I just need to stand and keep going, and it's maybe a season for me. But so like asking the Lord, like, help me to be present with you, because it is a relationship.
Yeah.
And I want to be present for Him,
Yeah.
to present myself to Him
Yeah.
authentically and not rush through the moment.
Yeah.
And so if I can get control of my flesh, if you will, and my mind, and say, no, I need to be present with the Lord,
Yeah.
because I want to honor Him. I need His presence.
Yeah.
So if I'm not really, truly learning and focusing myself to be present, then from there, that goes to my family. It goes to my kids. And then with them, again, it's I know my wife would want me to, she would say it this way, to see her,
Yeah.
to let her know that she's there, to look her in the eye, to tell her genuinely that I love her,
Yeah.
that she is the best thing I've ever experienced outside of Jesus, right?
Yeah.
Like she needs to hear that, and I need to be able to be present enough to truly mean that and say that in the moment. And
Yeah.
I think our words are very important. But then with kids, same thing. It's like they are gifts, so I want to be present for them. Providing stability. They have so much to offer on the other hand, and if you're not present, you're not taking advantage of the beautiful free gift that's actually been made available to you. It's kind of like we're just like, we're not prioritizing it.
Yeah.
So, and then I think this too with people. I think, in ministry, it's called the ministry of presence. So when you visit people, that's one of the things that matters the most, is not even always what you say, or maybe what you've preached from a stage. It's the fact that you're present in the moment and that you show up when they need it.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, being present says so many things. And I think here's an important point of what I'm trying to say here is, especially in this culture and with, I think, the younger generation, they're not fooled.
Yeah. That's a
You know,
fact.
so if you're not really present, they know it, and you can't
Yeah.
fool them. Like, so part of our growing up is I need to be genuine. I need to be transparent and genuine and really present in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, if that's love to me,
Yeah.
that's really what
Yeah.
this is all about, is love.
Yeah.
Well, and I think, just in the context of fathering and like with our kids, like with, the more as the generations come, there's more and more distraction with social media, with, like with all these different things, like, the ADHD, even just ADHD is like that epidemic is on the rise, and so like, what is it like as fathers, as parents, how can we model not being distracted but being present? I think is really, really important just for them to even have an understanding of what that looks like, and I think one of the things for me, I really try and intentionally make my greetings count.
Yeah.
So like, it's easy for me when I start getting going on something. I'm a big guy. I got a lot of momentum behind me, like. So if I get my momentum going and my wife gets home from work, or my son, walks in from wherever he's, jumping on the trampoline, and my momentum or what I'm doing takes precedence, then like they get caught up in what I'm doing. I don't take the time to celebrate and take joy in them. I don't take the time to like make them feel like I'm present for them. I'm forcing them to be present for me. And that's not something that I really want to model for them, and so like I really try and intentionally make my greetings count, so that I like if the joy of the Lord is our strength, like I want to like have moments of joy throughout my day. I want to intentionally find those moments of joy. And so when I see my wife for the first time in 8 hours or 10 hours, or however long the shift is, when I see my son, coming home from school, like I love that moment. And like, my son to this day, he's 8 years old, and he's still, every time I pick him up from school, he'll come running from across the schoolyard, fling himself into my arms, and we just, and it's just like, it's full of joy, right? Like it's like my dad is here, and he's not just here, but he's present for me. Like all my problems, all my worries, all my issues, all my strife, all this stuff just goes away because my dad is present. Right? Like, and that's the same thing with us and our Father too, right? Like, I mean, I love that moment with God. Like, every time I get into a worship service, every time I take time to pray, every time whatever it is, like, I want to run into his arms in that same way. I want that joy to be so present that the strength that builds up in that, right? Like, there's no chains that can hold me back from my daddy, right? Like, there's nothing that, like, it's all good, and I think taking that moment to just really, really celebrate with them, to really like show them that I am for them, is so important. Is so key to them feeling like even valued, seen, and known, loved, right? Like, like we need to have that love. We need to have that. Like the presence of a father in our lives is so crucial.
It is.
It's so. I mean, I was doing research about fatherlessness the other day, and it's like, I mean, the amount of, like, it's like you're 32 times more likely to become homeless without a father in the family. 75% of currently incarcerated people, men and women, grew up in fatherless households.
Wow.
Like, I mean, just the statistics that are out there about fatherlessness and growing up where you don't have a dad that instills that joy, where you don't have a dad that's present, even in the homes where the dad is present, but he's not emotionally present, where he's always at work, where he's always on the phone, where he's always doing, right? Like, everything else is prioritized over you.
Yeah.
You know what that communicates to children, right? I mean, I had that growing up. My dad was always working. My dad was always there. And I felt like, even though he came to my basketball games, he wasn't present. He's on the phone the entire time, like, and it was like, I love that we have the opportunity as men to be present for our families, to instill that joy in them that the Lord instills in us, to let that strength carry on from generation to generation.
Yeah. For me, and those dogs or whatever, they're brats, are singing. It's like a totally different from the chicken. The chickens were like in silence and like solitude, and they were like,
"That's because it's
I'm
chicken,
cooking,
right? This is pork."
And this is like, let's go. I want to go.
This is how Crispy got his name.
But but like what it was for me was my whole mindset was, and not in a way of like manipulation or making up for something. It was like I want to change the cycle. For me, it was I want to give my kids everything I didn't have. And that's not material. It's the greeting. It's how I receive them when they come home from school, when in the morning before they go to school, or even when they just want to talk to me. Everything drops. Hey, what's up, love? How are you? What can I let's talk, or whatever. What do you want to say? And I'm fully attentive to them, eye to eye, in that moment, because that's what I never had. And so I want to give them that. And then I love what you said about the problems. Like everything, when you see your father, woo, everything just fades away. And so even though I never had that, I want to model that for my kids.
Yeah.
I want to model that for them. They know that whenever they come to see me, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
There was the instance that I had, and I won't go into details, but that's just from my kids, but like where when my kids, just being kids, did something wrong, and it was something that was like pretty bad, but kids are kids, and so I had a choice in the moment. My child comes to me and says, "Hey, Dad, this is what I did. I'm sorry." And in the moment, feeling like, man, you really jacked up here. Like, this is not okay. But I felt the presence of the Father. I felt the Heavenly Father kind of just come on me in that moment.
Yeah.
And that forgiveness that He talks about, that He gives us, I just felt, hey, I love you and I forgive you. And just like where in the Bible talks about, I'm hurling your iniquities into the sea. Like, and Micah talks about that, right? I throw them into the sea. I just felt that from my son in that moment. And that's what we get to do as fathers. I think about if we change the perspective of like, I have to do this because I'm a dad, to I get to do this because I am a father and I represent the Heavenly Father. It makes such a world of difference, and it does bring joy to fatherhood. We all know there's moments in parenthood that be like, man, this is really tough. I can't wait for this day to end. You know, this is at least me anyway. Like, this day has to end. Let them go to bed, fall asleep. I don't even care where you fall asleep. Just fall
drop
asleep.
where you are and
So
fall,
I can give my father. Like, I need my father. I want to cry too. But even in those moments, right, I do see the hand of the Lord and He's saying, I want to channel my love through you to these children.
Yeah.
And it's just that brings a lot of joy.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's a really good point too. I think men have this idea, or maybe it's the world has the idea that I've got to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what is being tough? Tough is essentially what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You're getting control of yourself, of your emotions, of your feelings. You're leading yourself well.
Yeah.
Like that's tough in this day and age when everything's vying for competition and for your time.
Yeah.
Like to be able to get a hold of yourself after you've worked, 10 hours a day and you've been through it, to go home and be that respite and be who your family needs you to be. That's tough. Like that's the place that we need to get to, and ask the Lord to help us to get there.
Yeah.
But that's the toughness. It's not, being strong and being yelling or abrasive at home. Like that's not showing the love.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the complete opposite of where we started, was just joy.
Yeah, joy.
So the joy of the Lord is our strength.
Yes.
And so we need to have joy. We need to give joy, and it's our strength.
Yeah.
This is why I think the enemy goes after our joy in families, in relationships, because if he gets the joy, he gets our strength.
Yeah.
And we have no strength to fight then for the relationship at that point.
Yeah.
So important to me, just keeping the joy. And what a tough exterior really looks like to me is it's loving in the right ways, it's leading, it's humility. You don't know it all, but I'm here and it's going to be okay. God's with us. He's going to keep us. He's going to protect us.
Yeah.
We're going to be okay.
And I think about that too verse, and before we say to the next question, but like I love that verse because the joy level of our strength. But like when you hear that and break it down, it's actually the same joy that the Lord has Himself. That's the joy that He operates in.
Yeah.
So it's not just a random joy that you get and said, hey, it came from God. No, this is literally the joy that Jesus Himself has and that He walks in. And God gives us His best. And so He would never give us a joy that was less than.
Yeah.
And so we get to, like you said, Josh, like, operate in His
Yeah.
joy, take part and lock arms with Him in His joy. And that's beautiful. So even in that joy, how do we not, what helps us to not get distracted? You know, have you, both experienced like in that joy and in being present?
Yeah. I so just take one more
Yeah,
note on the last
yeah,
question
yeah,
that you had.
please.
The Psalms 68 verses 4 and 5 says that His name is the Lord. Rejoice in His presence. Father to the fatherless, defender of the widows. This is God whose dwelling is holy. Like, I just love, like, I mean, He introduces Himself as I am the father to the fatherless. Like, I have, like, that is His heart. And it's as at the sound of His name, we rejoice, right? So, like, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with our fathers. Like, when the joy of the Lord is our strength, when we're finding that, I'm sorry, you say, repeat the last question that you had. Was it?
The last one was just how do you keep from getting distracted from
Keep from
that?
distraction. Yeah. I think when we have the joy of the Lord is and the relationship with God is the focus. I think, for me, going back to kind of just the religious versus relationship, like that really has been a key to me in a lot of ways to being able to grow with God. I think Matthew 7:21 and 22 says, in the end times, people come to me saying, Lord, Lord, we cast out demons in your name, we perform miracles in your name, right, we did amazing things for you, save us. And He says, get away from me, you evildoers, I never knew you, I never had a relationship with you, right? That is so intense, right? I mean, it's so many levels, right? So, like, for a long time, I took joy in the power of God being manifest, right? I wanted to see the miracles. I wanted to see the signs and wonders. I wanted to see the amazing things that God did to change the world around us, right? I wanted the shortcuts to health. I wanted the shortcuts to success. I wanted the shortcuts, right? I mean, and that's really where it was at,
Real.
and so, changing that to...
Wow.
I'm not taking joy in the results and the promises of God. I'm taking joy in the promise giver. That is, right, like the source of all joy, right? Like it's a totally different moment. Having that relationship be the focus. So, like, even in my ministry and my calling, like, I feel like God has called me to. I mean, I love the Malachi mandate, right? Like the hearts of the fathers will turn back to the sons, and the sons back to the fathers, and that's not even limited to. It doesn't use possessives in there, right? Like it's not. I, as a father, will have my son turn back to me, and my heart will turn back to his heart. It's the hearts of the fathers will turn back to the hearts of the sons, and the sons to the fathers, right? So, like, even in the ministry that I have, like, that's so much of what we do in family care, Pastor Josh and I both, like, there's so much, like, relationship that is the focus of that. But at the end of the day, when you come home to some of the most important relationships, and we talked about this in the last episode, right? Like, it's not, it's like Jesus, and like, our relationship with Jesus, and then our relationship with our spouse, and then our relationship with our kids. Like, it's not, and then it's the relationship with everybody else, So, like, when if you have that priority, and we talked about this too, like, if you have the priorities where they need to be, when you walk through the door into your household and you're not bringing all your cares and your worries from work, you're healthily and appropriately casting those cares on God in that moment, right? Like, God, you will take care of this for until I can get to it in the next day, right? Like, you called me to rest. I'm going to go home and rest. I'm going to go and spend time investing in the relationships that you've specifically entrusted me with. And that's my wife and kids. So, I mean, you talk about, like, not getting distracted from from the joy. I think when you have your priorities there, when you understand that, yes, I have obligations at church. Yes, I have obligations as part of my job, as part of my ministry. But I also, much more so, have obligations to spend time with the Lord, to be renewing my strength, right? Like Isaiah 40:31. I've been just digging into this recently. Those that wait on the Lord. This is the part of the verse that everybody skips over. They go to the, like, running and walking and mounting up on wings on eagle.
Eagle and fly and
but those that wait on the Lord, those that abide in the Lord, those that maintain relationship with the Lord, those that intentionally seek out and spend time with the Lord. Will renew their strength. Right? Like, the joy of the Lord is our strength. The waiting on the Lord is where you find that joy. Right? And so I think, when we skip over that, when we don't take the time we need to do to be able to find that strength and that joy, then we are failing ourselves. We're failing our relationship with our family. We're like, we are called to lead our families. You know, as men and women, as mothers and fathers,
Yeah.
we have a responsibility to lead our children into the ways of righteousness and raise them up in the ways that they should go.
Yeah.
And if I don't know the ways that they should go, how am I going to raise them up into that?
Can't.
If I don't even understand where the joy of the Lord is myself, how am I supposed to lead my son into that?
Can't.
Do you think that I don't want my son to experience the joy of the Lord every day of his life?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I will do anything to help him get to that point. I will do anything to raise him up to where he needs to be able to experience that on a level even deeper than I have.
Yeah.
Right? My dad, for all of his foibles, for all of the things he didn't do right, some of the most amazing things he set in place in me were, I want my ceiling to be your starting point. For as high as I've gotten in my life, for as much understanding and relationship as I've gotten with God in my life, for as much as I know, for the mysteries that I've discovered, for the mysteries of the Lord that He's, you know, hidden, like as kings and, you know, like we have that ability to seek out those mysteries of God. For as deep and as far and as wide as I've gotten, I want that to be step one for my son.
Yeah. The starting point.
The starting point. How much more is he going to accomplish than I ever have?
Yeah.
And I've accomplished a lot of things in my life. Like,
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what my son does with this.
Yeah.
And that's the point of, like, why would I bother getting distracted with something else when that's what I have to look forward to?
That is what it is. You know, I've been going through Psalms lately, and one of the things that you see, I think especially like Psalms like 45 through 50, where the sons of Korah are talking, is they're just displaying how much God thinks generationally.
Yeah.
Like, all your generations, and like, you will lift up posterity is the word. I was like, what is posterity? I hear it so much, but then it means just really future generations, what it means.
Yeah.
And so when the Bible talks about raising up a posterity, it's raising up literally generations from a person, from a man typically, right? What it's referring to as how God designed it as the head of the household to display everything you just said to the next generation.
Yeah.
How to put them in a position so that your ceiling is their starting point.
And he even talks about that, right? Like
Yeah.
the curses are visited to the third and fourth generation, but how
Yes.
many generations are the blessings visited to?
Yeah.
1,000 generations of blessing.
Yeah.
So every blessing that I step into in my life,
Yeah.
I have
Wow.
1,000 generations after me that are starting with that as their
Yes.
foundation.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you hit it right on the head. And so just kind of even wrapping this up before we get to our big bite for these, I think they're ready to go, right? Just
Yeah,
about,
they're
right?
good, yep.
So let's get to this last before we get our bite and rate these brats. But now practically, how do we walk in that joy? Practically, what does that look like? You touched on it a little bit, Chris, as far as like making the time to spend with the Lord. I think there's still a misconception that like, we know that they are praying men, and we know the world's also been changed by praying men. There's been revivals and moves of God by praying men, but I think the misconception is that only women pray. And like, women are known for prayer. You know, she's a prayer warrior. We know who she is, right? We know the prayer warriors of the church, right? And most often they're women. But how much more should it be, because how God designed it, that men should also be known as prayer warriors and prayer champions, right? Because it comes with spending time with the Father, not out of obligation, but relationship. So I guess that was a long question of like, how do we practically walk into being present? And,
For me, I think just to make it ultra simple,
yeah.
is schedule yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I know not everybody likes that.
It's
It's
good.
natural for me to do.
It's really good.
So I'll set, my normal routine about a week and a half out right now. But I'll put things on the calendar a month, and even we're going into 2024 at this point. So with at least with one event. So a couple of things here. I schedule myself. I allow that to be a floating schedule. But on the other hand, it's not a flippant schedule.
Yeah.
And the reason I have a schedule is so I can prioritize the moments, outside of work, or, I'm literally giving space for this so I can give space to this.
Yeah.
Right. So just super simple, I know. And then some of the things when it connects to joy is the reason I'll put things on the calendar. Some of the things are fun things. like man camp. We're getting ready to go to man camp on June 8th, 9th, and 10th. So we're going to have a blast doing that, right? But that's a joy moment, which we're excited about. We're going to have fun. It's going to be really good for us. So that fuels us, that adds health, right? So simple thing there. I call it kill the squirrels. There's so many distractions. Just kill them. It gets to the place where you ignore them. It's just like, you don't spend the time killing, you just ignore them. And then to me, that comes from the next level up would be is the scriptures talk about setting your gaze on the Lord and praying without ceasing and praying all day. Like, I think these things come from just, okay, Lord, I need your help. I have not arrived. I want to get better and I want to improve in getting my focus, keeping my joy, prioritizing this, what can be crazy life. And I need the wisdom of God and the understanding of God. And in fact, I need the leading of God to do these things. I just don't naturally do it because I'm skilled. That's not it. And so when I get out of whack, it's because I'm getting away from the presence. I'm getting away from, what I need, which is life sustaining. So I think it's as simple as starting down with maybe just scheduling yourself. And if you have to schedule, it's okay. Don't feel bad if you have to say, okay, I'm going to focus on my kids this week, this time, this day. I mean, you want to get away from it being like that. Right. But if that's where you have to start, don't be ashamed. Yeah. Start somewhere, because you're actually you're training yourself and you're putting energy into the relationship, which really is the whole point.
Yeah, I think kind of going back to the fatherless point that I made earlier, I think, when you part of what a father teaches, part of what their responsibility is and their role, just their God-given nature, is overcoming fear, and that's what they instill in the rest of their family, even in their wife, right? So I think when we, your question about how to, we as men, like women are known for praying because women, I'm not gonna speak to that, but just but they have their relationship for them is a lot easier than it is for us in some ways. Yeah. I think for men, we have to get to the point where we can overcome the fear of and the insecurities in us to even be able to get to the point where we're wanting to engage in relationship, much less able to engage in relationship, right? And so for us to come in as a prayer into prayer, it's not I'm just going to gab with the friends, I'm coming in as a leader, and I'm leading the charge into we're overcoming fear, we're we're really establishing something. We're coming into a relationship with the Lord, and that's a totally different moment. But it is you can't send a raw recruit to the front lines. It does take a while to get to the point where we can be intentionally vulnerable, where we can actually want to engage into that relationship. But I think once we do, then it is absolutely it's amazing the things that happen when you get a group of men that are truly on fire for the Lord, that are walking in the fullness of their calling and destiny, to come into a prayer service and just, you watch the atmosphere change, you watch the world change around them, and it's because the fear is not dictating what's happening anymore. It's being actively cast out so that faith can rise up, right? And faith is what that's we need the faith to be to see the kingdom of heaven established here. Without that faith, when the fear is in charge, then the obligation is what's running the show, right? It's not the relationship that's running the show. It's not the faith and the mechanism for God's grace to be able to be expressed.
Yeah. I love that, and there's no expectancy too. So, thank you both for sharing that. I love that. So let's jump into this week's brats. We got the jalapeno cheddar.
Got these jalapeno cheddar smoked pork sausages. These are smelling pretty good, honestly.
Sweet love language.
Sweet heat language.
Sweet heat language. So let's dive in, and then we'll rate it after a bite.
Absolutely.
Let's go. Let you guys get ready. Again, I'm no condiment myself.
We gotta doctor these things up. Just for the extra.
A little extra something.
It's worth, some things are, worth being present in, right?
Be present.
Taking the time.
And I can see the joy on your face.
Right? Yeah. No, this is... This is all good stuff
All right, you ready?
for sure.
Yeah,
nope.
we gotta get the measure.
No, that's right.
Nope,
You gotta get.
gotta,
Yeah.
we gotta check that out here. Hang on.
I think it's looking a little bit better
That's
than
the
the last
mustard.
one, not gonna lie. We got a little bit more bun fillage
Well,
here. Not much,
yeah.
but a little bit.
Given that it's jalapeno pork, it's already that's
It's already
It's not
winning.
in
We're already a
So-
step above.
W.
yeah. I mean, same buns, still 6 heavy, right? I shouldn't have put the mustard
all the
on
mustard, yeah.
first. Let me see here. These are I would say 5 heavy.
Yeah.
So what was the last one's?
It's five shy,
5 shy?
5 light, yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, it's not a significant improvement, but it's
No. But it's, I mean, when
Nope.
you add in jalapeno, you add in
Cheddar.
the pork.
Yep.
I mean, so
Ready?
did you? I'm gonna.
You tore
I
the
just
bread
took the
already.
extra bun up
Take the
right
extra
up
bun.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna get rid of the bun.
All right.
All right.
Let's
Are
go.
we ready?
1, 2.
I like that the bun was crunchy. So I taste cheese and jalapeno.
Already, it's like above
Uh huh.
that last chicken, boy.
The burst of flavor, the little crunch on it, had a way better caramelization on these than the chicken ones did. That's a solid bratwurst right there.
Yeah, that's good.
Cheese isn't exploding everywhere.
Right.
It didn't even spew out all over the grill, which I appreciate. Nothing like having to clean up a cheesy
Right.
grill.
Right. Cooked well, warm. On the side of hot. And these are Johnsonville, right?
Yeah.
So the only I mean they're good. Totally worthy to take on a camping trip. Date the lake.
Yeah.
They're not going to be your deli made. But for on the go, quick access, quick cooking, inexpensive. Got to throw that out there. That's yeah.
Honestly, got to say they're not as well seasoned as the other ones were, which is
Okay,
surprising to
all
me
right.
with the chicken sausage versus a pork
It makes
sausage.
sense, though. It
Yeah.
makes sense. It looks
I mean,
like
they always say that pork is salty by itself. I don't believe that, but
Well-
I mean, they say that.
go try some. Yeah, but like, I think the other two, the chicken sausage was like handcrafted. Like I could see like a guy cutting up mozzarella and like put in little, salt, whatever that is, And so this
The
is
Salt
like,
Bae.
yeah, this is just like, put some jalapeno, put some cheddar. I got some pork. Let's go. Put in package, send out to the store. Let's make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
That
a
being
man's
said,
brat.
the jalapeno flavor really does it's
Yeah.
a nice punch of
Yeah,
flavor.
it does. That's the first thing that hit
All
me.
day
when I
long.
did it. Yeah. So
Like the other one had more of a complex, subtle flavor,
Yeah.
but this one really has a nice, just punchy,
Yeah.
you want to grab some watermelon and
Yep.
so I mean this is this just makes you want to eat.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, there you go. That's it right there. So let's rate this brat 0 out of 5, 5 being the best. Compared to now we're in the realm of just straight up brats. Where does this sit at? 0 out of 5, 5 being the best, 0 is being the trashiest.
Well, in the realm of, grocery store shopping,
Yeah.
immediate access, all these things matter, right?
It's true.
Cost,
It's true.
It's all
spice.
context.
Yeah.
I think I would go with a solid 5 on these.
Really?
Wow.
Immediate access, it's available. You're going to get Johnsonville at any one of the major food
Yeah.
chains, right?
That's true.
So,
There's high
Immediate access
on
is
these.
High
important,
access,
especially
yeah.
when you're in a hurry, right?
Yep.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah, for a hurry brat,
Yeah.
this is pretty solid.
Want to categorize that. So,
yeah.
it's not deli special made. That's a whole nother category. So in its category, I mean, I could go to 4.5, but I'm not thinking right now in its category of what's going to be better for me.
Yeah. I might give you that one actually. With
Okay.
the like
Because of the category?
Because of the category, I would
Quick
agree
access
with that.
is
yes.
huge.
Yeah.
Because like I live in the world of like the bougie brat where
Yeah,
you like
yeah.
it's in the world of like I
It's like
have to
artisan
impress your
stuff, yeah,
neighbors
yeah.
with how well like
Yeah.
you know because everybody makes brats.
Right.
But can you make brats that everybody's like, wow, these are good brats? Or can you
brats.
make brats that are like, oh, you got the good ones from the store,
Right.
right? Like that. This is
Right.
the you got the good ones from the store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not the like, wow, you know how to make brats, right?
Yeah.
Like so it's.
Yep.
In that category, I would agree with you. It's probably like a 4.5 to 5. Like,
But if I'm going to the lake with Chris,
Yeah.
and we're gonna cook out, and he brought Johnsonville's like this. He
Yeah.
brought these jalapeno cheddar. It's a good day.
It's a good day.
It is a good
that's true.
day.
Like that.
There's nothing bad about it.
Yeah. I have to be in a realm already. I'm already at a 4. You know, just it's really
Okay.
good. I'm thinking about my kids being young, so like they can't eat it.
Yeah.
Right, 'cause
That's
they'll-
true.
my-
The spicy
that?
really
my-
does limit. Yeah,
My kid
that's
run around.
true.
I need milk.
Yep.
So, but just straight up, if my wife and I are going out, or maybe just my wife and the older kids, yeah, this is gonna be the one.
So in a family category more
In
so.
the category
Yeah.
of out of definitely in that category in that context,
Yeah.
we're gonna do a 4,
Right.
Because it's not it's not all encompassing for the whole family,
Right.
equitable for
Totally
the whole family.
agree.
It's better.
And
Yeah,
and
so.
and like you said, the quick access, like
I like that,
these
though,
are
yeah.
fully cooked
Fully
smoked
cooked,
sausages.
yeah.
Like an actual like a bratwurst. Like
yeah, it's not cooked.
is not cooked.
Right.
It's this huge chunk of meat inside this, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like it takes a while to cook that much meat.
It does.
And so you really got to parboil that
Mm-hmm.
first, and then you grill it for the caramelization, for the extra little flavor from the fire and everything
Yeah.
else, right? These ones you don't have to do any of that boiling. You just throw them in over the heat, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even eat them raw because they are fully cooked. So
Which honestly is another advantage, right there.
It can be.
Which helps the whole category overall.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
So-
quick access.
But that's
ready now.
That's a categorical advantage. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily an
yeah.
individual advantage,
Yeah.
and that's where.
There's so many categories.
There
I mean,
are.
you really have to
So
be a
many contexts,
theologian in
true.
this
Yeah,
this area.
brat,
Bratologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Bratology.
I
That
love
sounds
that.
too close to
Which I
proctology,
feel
which
like
I'm not
we're-
really comfortable with eating this. But
I feel like we're close to like
getting
we've
close.
we've really looked at a lot of different areas.
Yeah,
And
it's
and the in the family area makes so much sense. Like you
Yeah.
you can't necessarily feed your kids jalapenos.
Jalapenos. Yeah.
You know?
I do. My
Oh
8-year-old
yeah, my
like
kids do,
jalapenos.
but my 4-year-old and my 2-year-old aren't they're quite.
Right, no, I'm saying we should if we can.
But yeah,
We
yeah.
should
You
if
start
we
them off
can.
early,
Start 'em
and
off
then
early,
they're
yeah,
they're
that's
successful later in
But-
life.
Why don't you have a habanero for lunch?
There we go. Right, start them out slow. You know, then we'll get to the ghost pepper at dinner. Like everything in moderation, right?
I love
Total
that.
moderation.
Won't have
so.
a tongue by the time they're 10.
Facts. Get this, yeah. So,
Chris,
well,
you like yours so much you got a little bit right here.
Yeah, that's really. That means you eat.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
good.
let
that's,
you,
you-
I'll let you clean it up.
That
but
means
it's,
you're eating good.
I appreciate
it goes
that.
good on the remaining bun that I have in my hand here. So.
Yeah. Well, listen, this has been another episode of Bros and Brats with Sweet Heat, Crispy Bacon, and myself, Sizzler. And we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until the next one, we'll see you.